Hello, everyone, and welcome to Merciful Love's Letters. I am Dominique Dewar, and I thank you so much for being here today. So, today I have a vision that I would like to share from Jesus. So, in this vision, I saw a woman in a wedding dress, and she was being carried by a strange man and thrown into a pit. The woman was hanging on by a branch, and underneath her was red hot lava, and then she fell in. Then the vision went back in time, and I saw the woman standing at a crossroad between light and darkness, and she looked confused in which direction to go. And then darkness overtook her because she remained undecided. Jesus gave a brief message just concerning this vision. So he spoke. My church as a whole has become lukewarm. The amount of individuals who are lukewarm have and continues to increase by the day. Do you ever wonder why I have been allowing the chaos and attacks against the church? Do you ponder why it has been in such a large amount? I have been wanting to get my children's attention. What are you willing to lose to get more of me in these times? So his message was really brief, but this was a pretty sad vision because it shows a bride being carried and thrown into a pit. And going back in time, Jesus was able to give the context of why this happened. And this is because the bride was undecided. She did not make a decision about whether she wanted to be for Jesus or she wanted to be in the world. So this pretty much explains the state of the church right now. This explains how so many people, which the bride represents God's church as a whole, and he's showing in that vision how so many people that are in his body that do not have a true relationship with him because they are not decided about if they want to be in close relationship with him or if they want to continue to live in the world. So we know that this is very problematic, and what God is telling us, he's giving us questions to think about. He's telling us to ponder why we have been seeing the chaos so much and attacks against the church. And this is something that he's allowing to wake up the church who has been asleep, who has not been doing what God has appointed the church to do. And this is why he is allowing all of the chaos. He's allowing all of these worldly things to enter into the church. And so many of us are sitting back and we're looking and we're saying, why would God allow this? Because he's trying to wake up the church. And I've shared maybe a while ago, it might have been on my Instagram page, but I shared about how God will always address his church before he addresses anyone else. And why is that? Because as his church, as his body, we know better. We know what God requires of us because we have his word that tells us. We have the word of God that tells us what he requires from his children. So when we are living in contrary to what we know his word says, then there are issues with that. There are problems, and he has problems with that because he does not want us to be lukewarm. He doesn't want us to do things just for our benefit, but to do things that will glorify him. So when we enter into the world, when we get pulled away from him, that shows that we were never truly close to him. And that is why he's explaining in this vision that the church as a whole has to wake up, or there are going to be many consequences if she does not wake up. So this is a very brief message, but it is a call, and it's a call to prayer. It's a warning from God to his children that we need to be decided about him. We cannot allow wanting to fit in with the world and wanting people to like us to cause us to come out of ourselves and to be more worldly instead of being more Christ-centered. We cannot get into bed with Satan. And that's a very, deep statement to say, but that's really what God is saying. So many of his children are in bed with Satan. They're fornicating with Satan. And there are consequences when we do these things. So this is, like I said, it's a brief message, but it's straightforward. God is wanting us to ask ourselves these questions and ask ourselves, what is it that we truly want? What are we willing to lose to get more of him in these times? Because so many of us are not willing to lose our comfort. We're not willing to lose the things that we love. We're not willing to lose anything for him. And even in his word, he says, what does it profit a man to gain the world but lose his soul? And that is what I'm asking you today. I'm asking you to really sit and think about that question. If you are struggling in your relationship with God, if you have been lukewarm in your relationship with him, if you know him and know what he requires of you, but you have been living in the world, you have been living contrary to how he tells you to live, then you will be considered lukewarm. And also in the Bible, it says that God, when it comes to those who are lukewarm, he will spit you out, which means no. I will not accept, and this is Jesus saying, I will not accept those who are lukewarm, who don't know whether they're hot or cold. So God is saying, I would rather you be all for me or all against me than to be in the middle and be undecided. And being undecided is also making a decision. So if you are undecided about God, then you've chosen, I don't really want you. Because if you're sure about God and sure about wanting him in your life, then you're not going to be undecided. You're not going to be lukewarm. You're not going to straddle the fence. It's another, statement to describe what this means. You're not going to straddle the fence. You are going to be all for God, and you are going to show it. It's going to, the fruit is going to show and it's going to bear in your life. So I pray that you would just go to God. And like I said, if you have not been living wholeheartedly for Jesus, this is the call. This is a warning from God to no longer do this, especially if you know him and you know better. He is asking for you to no longer be on the fence, but to be decided if you want him or do you want the world. Because there is coming a time where you will no longer have all of this time that you have right now to choose God. And even now, you could die. You could literally watch this video right now and die. And I'm not trying to speak death over you, but I'm saying it's that serious. You don't want to delay because you think you're going to have more time. You don't know when your last day is on this earth. You don't know when you're going to breathe your last breath. So it is so important to be decided about God today and say, this is who I want. I want you, Lord. Choose ye this day who you will serve. So that is what he is asking you today. I really pray that you would just go to him and ask him to open your heart, to open your eyes, to show you the truth of the life that you've been living, and ask God to draw you back to himself. Okay? So thank you so much for listening to this message. I pray it encourages you, it convicts you lovingly to begin to make changes and to really reflect on the way that you've been living. Thank you so much, and God bless you.